This is going to be a different conversation. We always talk about real estate, about India. I would like to have the opportunity, and I think it's a very fantastic opportunity to talk about life, to talk about you, and to share a little bit of your history here, your vision. When I look at you, and I look at all the accomplishments, all we have done, and you are not somebody just worried about yourself, but you really mean to bring progress to the country, and your actions speak by itself. And I want to ask you, what inspires you to do that?
I think India as a nation is an inspiration by itself. You look at our history, honestly, if you look at the brains that Indians have, you have smart Indians who go all over the world, and they are CEOs, they are scientists, they work in NASA, they work in Microsoft, they are CEOs of multinationals. So basically, I think there is something special about the Indian mind and they. Second, I think is the opportunity which India has given to the world. And I think we kind of underestimate that, because I do believe that we have really been not been able to take the opportunity of growth in the last 65 years. And we are now trying to do that catch up which is there, and that is why you see the growth of GDP going 7%, which is the highest growth in the world. The growth in terms of real estate is growing more than 12% per year, compounded. And my gut feel is that it will go anything between 15 to 17% in the next couple of years. Niti Aayog, which is our the institution which actually does a study of all the parts of the market. 2 years ago, we were about 7% of the GDP of the country in terms of real estate. They estimate that in the next 4 years, we will reach 15% of the increased GDP that we are going to have. So real estate will actually grow much faster than even what I am estimating today as per the government estimates which are there. The infrastructure growth which the country is doing, we add only 35 kilometers of national highway per day. Mumbai, for instance, we have 190 kilometers of suburban rail for last 65 years. In the next 2 years, we add 300 kilometers of metro in Mumbai region alone. Coastal Road, Cross Harbour Bridge, and Navi new airport. So the growth only of the Mumbai region, if you look at it, will be anything between 15 and 20% growth of Mumbai's growth alone. I'm not even talking about the whole of India. So I think the excitement is really that you don't have to work too hard. You have to just ride the wave. All these people are going to make money over here in being in the real estate business, because simply the country is growing so fast, and the entire world now recognizes it. Look at the growth of capital markets in IPOs which have registered and all that. We have the fastest growing in real estate. In terms of real estate growth on the listed space, we are the fastest in the whole world already. And we have very limited stocks which are registered. So I think all in all, we are in a very happy moment. And that's the only reason why I don't feel like retiring at 74. The reason is very simple. I mean, the better times are going to be in the next 3 years rather than the last 30 years. So I think the next 3 years growth and things that you're going to see is going to be far more better than the last 30 years as far as India is concerned. And so irrespective of what else happens, the excitement is too much. And that's why. So when India starts slowing down, I'll probably want to step out of the race.
Talk about the future, as you touch on real estate. You have seen many things in India and globally about business, especially about real estate. How do you project the future? Is there any main trend that's changing the real estate industry? Anything that you would say, look, as a young CEO or young founder here, you should watch that, what would be that thing?
India is having not much surprises. There are a couple of things which was not anticipated by the country or me. For example, in the last 1 year, we thought that affordable housing would see the maximum growth. In 40 years of my career, affordable housing always grew faster than the mid-level housing and the luxury housing. In the last 18 to 24 months, for the first time, I'm seeing mid-level housing and luxury housing go faster than the affordable housing. Partly interest rates, partly the Prime Minister's Awas Yojana got exhausted last year. All these things have happened. But the fact is, certain sectors grew slower, which was not anticipated. Commercial real estate. Everybody felt after COVID and the work from home position, which has happened mainly coming from the Western countries, especially the United States, we thought that the commercial real estates would actually go downhill. It's not, it's growing. Consolidation is also taking place, and the bigger players are doing bigger, much bigger. And for the first time, we also see a huge amount of consolidation, which was not happening maybe 10 years ago. So a lot of investments by companies which are listed, companies which are larger, are really taking away a bigger market share. It's already happened, and probably going to continue to happen more. The Real Estate Regulatory Act has definitely precipitated that to happen, and we have to be much more. But obviously, it has given confidence to the investor worldwide. For example, let's say 5 years ago, we found a dip in NRI investments. Not resident Indians who were investing into India had given a dip. It came down from, on an average in urban cities, from 20% to 10, 12%. And this was a lack of confidence a couple of years ago. Somehow it was there. Suddenly, we see with the growth of real estate, the FDI and the growth in terms of NRI investments into our projects which we are launching is now 25%, which is a huge growth which is there. It indicates also a confidence in India. So a lot of people who otherwise were not looking at India are looking at India. A lot of people have confidence in the government, the stability in terms of what we do. And also, I think the infrastructure of the whole thing is much better. Ease of doing business, we're talking about it, but still long way to go before it becomes very easy to do business in India. But hopefully we'll get there sooner or later. But it's not there right now. So some headwinds internally. Externally, I think oil is going to be the only headwind that we really see. So if there is something which brings oil beyond $100, then probably there'll be a slowing down for India. But I don't think anything else will affect India as much as was possible to do it. So commercial real estate is going to shoot up. Residential is definitely growing. Warehousing is growing. Industrial is going. We have a lot of investments into that. Data centers will grow only compounding of 500% compounded per annum for the next 5 years.
Looking back at such a successful journey so far, if you had to meet the young Hiranandani, what advice would you give to yourself, to the young Hiranandani? What are the key lessons in life that you wish you knew when you were very young?
You have to learn faster and faster. I think I learned too slow. I think what has happened is that knowledge is coming up much faster. I'm not talking about information. Information is grossly surplus. You have to filter the information, get knowledge really out of it, and be able to do it. I think we don't study enough. So if you had asked me, Niranjan Hiranandani of 35 years ago, 30 years, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we would not study the market as much as we do today. I think we are far more studied and doing. And this is just one part of the story. I'm just giving you one example of where we didn't do enough in those days at time. Oh, Mr. Loda is doing this, Mr. Oberoi is doing this, the brigade is doing this. So I will also do this. That was the kind of market study which we were doing in the real estate business. That's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. You have to study your own market. You cannot think that just because ABC is selling so-and-so, I will also be able to sell so-and-so. It's not going to happen in the future. I think we needed to study. So similarly, in every aspect of real estate, I think the need to have upgraded yourself, if I had to go and do it again, I would do it faster. I don't think I would be wiser, but I would definitely be able to adapt myself by the learning process. So even today, at 74, I think we are constantly learning, and I think we are trying to learn faster today than I was learning 20 years ago. I think that's the biggest difference.
And if you could be remembered by one thing and one thing only, what would that be?
People trust me.
Trust.
I think it's about trust. I think people who give you money, people who invest with you, people who work with you. I run a hospital, it's about trust. If I run 14 colleges in Bombay, I run 6 schools. It's about trust. It's about belief. If I sell an apartment, it's about trust. If I give a contract, it's about trust. A couple of years ago, one of our associated companies where I had no liability had borrowed money from the bank and the institution went bust. We took over the liability of the bank, made almost 500 crores of rupees of losses and paid off to the banks and took off that project. Now it's going to turn around. But we really lost money at that point of time. But the bankers somehow trusted the brand that we had, though I had no personal liability in those cases. I think trust is the biggest story. If you can create trust in yourself, in your company, in your institution and whatnot. Recently, just a few days back, Mr. Ratan Tata died, a man, personal friend of mine, and the entire institution of Tatas is based on only one factor, trust. Professionalism, of course you be there. If you're in real estate, you should know how to construct, you should be able to deliver, you should be able to execute, you should be able to do contract, you should be able to do all that, but that's a given. But when you add the cherry pie of trust on it, then you're an institution. So you convert your company into an institution just because people will trust that institution. It doesn't matter what the business is, whether it's real estate or the Tata empire, which is there, it's all about trust and how you believe in that thing. I think if you've created trust in your people, even your employees, and I think that makes a world of a difference.
And what's the piece of advice that you give to someone who is starting his own company, real estate company at the moment, somebody who is just starting a journey now, what would you say?
You'll be surprised with my answer. I'm learning from them. We all believe that we are here to teach everything. No, bullshit, lies, untrue. The younger people are smarter. They're cleverer. They know much more than you do. I have a small team of 2 girls who do social media, okay? And they kind of record me off and on, and they put me on social media. I traveled by a train, and they put me on social media, on Instagram, and I did 3.8 crore hit, 38 million hits. Niranjan Hiranandani would never have been able to achieve in his wildest dreams that traveling by a suburban train journey in Mumbai, you can eat 38 million hits. Now, if we are to learn, we all think that the old are wise. It's actually otherwise. Because if you're not learning new things all the time, then you really become old. The secret is, don't worry about whom you're learning from. It may be a young person, somebody. I remember going to one of my sites and we'd started some Maiwan construction and there was some problem regarding leakages. And my senior most engineer couldn't find a good solution fast enough because work was going on rapidly. Some middle-level engineer came and he says, you know what, we should do an injection grout into this. They said, this is new technology, let's talk to the company. Even the company didn't know what to do about it. And we discovered it. We created that syringe, we created that grout, and zero leakages in any of my buildings in the new construction. And this was done by a middle-level ordinary person. Now, if you're going to wait for a 74-year-old person to teach you, and you forget to learn from the younger people who are hanging around with you, sad story to do it. Learn from anybody. It could be the youngest person, the newest person, your enemy, your sworn enemy, your opponent, your competitor, doesn't matter who it is. Just keep learning. And I learned this from my father a little bit late in the day. At 82 years old, he was a doctor, an ENT specialist, Padma Bhushan, Dhanvantri Award, very reputed doctor. At 82, he gets up one day in the morning and we used to have tea together. And he says, Niranjan, I'm going to Germany to learn a new operation. At 82. And he did go. And there's another surprising part of that story. I asked him, who is this doctor who you're going to learn to? You're such a senior doctor and you know you have done. He said, Dr. Plester from Germany. Dr. Plester from Germany. Didn't he come 10 years ago to learn an operation from you? He said, yes, same person. Isn't he 15 years younger to you? Yes, he's 15 years younger to me. But he has learned a new operation of the year, which I don't know. And I want to learn from him. So a person 15 years junior from him, knowing this thing, who was his student, learning an operation as a professional, as a senior most person in the country, receiving the biggest awards in the world in India, which could be there at that point of time for a doctor, still wanted to go and learn. Learn. Not only, see, the difference is we mistake information for knowledge. Because information is too much. I can't tell you how much rubbish we read. But the question is, how do we filter this information, convert it into knowledge, and use it usefully to yourself? I think that's the secret. And I would do that much, much more if I was younger than what I did when I was young.
Great advice. Let's talk about the meaning of life. You have seen so much, you're so wise, so humble. For you, what's the meaning? What's the meaning of life?
Difficult. Let's look at the difference between an animal and a human being. So what's the meaning of life, not just for an animal and a human being? An animal is born, he gets up to find food, he eats his food, he hunts for his food, he gets his food, and he cohabitates with, produces children and goes to sleep. And next day morning he does that again. The human mind is very different. It has a mind, it has a thought process, and it brings about a learning wherein you can change the world, you can change it for yourself, you can be empathetic, you can be kind, you can be generous, you can be great, you can be learning, you can do medicine, you can build buildings, you can build the world, and all that which an animal cannot do. But there are many human beings who live like animals. They get up in the morning, they do little work, as much as is sufficient enough to earn and enjoy, and then they go back to sleep. They don't contribute. There is nothing which ultimately leaves at the end of the day. In next life, God will make them into animals only. Why do you need to make them into men and women? I think the very fact that God made us human beings and wanted to give us brains and be able to be capable of making rockets and spaces, not to create war, unfortunately, but to do whatever we wanted to do, create buildings, create real estate, create homes, create housing, create good food, create nutrition, create air conditioning, everything. We've done all that, but instead of doing that, if a human being just wastes his life and does nothing, I think I look down upon such people. So I do believe that we as human beings, God has given us so much more than what He has given to other people. I can only be grateful and gratitude to God and to everybody else over here for you and to you for giving me this honor.
My pleasure, our pleasure. Just a final message. This interview is going to go to all the members of the GRI all over the world, also to everybody following our channels. If you had to leave a final message to the audience, for everybody here, and for those that want to be watching this interview, what would be the message?
I think I've enjoyed my life tremendously, and GRI, thank you very much for all the other things. All the people from my fraternity have given me so much love and affection. I love them too, and it's such a joy to be a human being, a person who can do something in this world. And all the interactions that I've had with you, with other people over here, and with the rest of the world, I can only say that I live in gratitude to all of you now and forever for whatever I have received from all human beings that are there on this earth. I cannot say more. I live in gratitude. That's all I can say.
Ladies and gentlemen, the person of the year, Dr. Hiranandani. Congratulations. Thank you very much.